We've probably all had dreams that felt a little too real, but what if they were? That's a question I wanted to answer for my new comic, Dolomir, a story about how the last dream ends in a new nightmare for many. It all began one night with a lucid dream, a dream where you can control your environment, actions, or both, and a man most people called Normal. Terry Cragmore, a man who used to have a semi-normal life, but has now been left broken alone after a recent divorce. Terry's days suck. He finds himself in a loop of work, and the only way he can escape is when he goes to sleep. He dreams for control and for things to go back to the way they were before, but when he wakes up, it's all the same. Normal man would probably just try to get his life together so that he can go back to being happy, but Terry doesn't do that. That's why he's the villain of my story, because he's not a normal man. Instead of doing that, this guy dives into his dreams and he finds a way to just go to sleep whenever he wants. This guy's always sleeping constantly. He's a narcoleptic on purpose, just so he can go back to that world, and he dives into lucid dreaming. After heavily researching lucid dreaming and giving up on reality, he finds himself dreaming of the same place. He is able to dream up this lab every time he goes to sleep that he can go back to and work on. Through lucid dreaming, he builds a device to merge his dream with the real world, causing a multitude of changes. One of the most important changes is that nobody dreams. Everybody's dream essence has been scattered around the world, and everybody's safe space is no longer safe. Different dreams condense into a gaseous cloud of changing energy. This energy is attracted to any living being, including plants and animals, causing them to slowly fit to their needs. Rabbits born in a high energy zone, for example, might multiply even faster or jump even higher. Humans can use this energy too, but only for technology in specific ways. Most people aren't really affected. They might get small changes, but a few who are born after the event with strong wills gather a lot of energy and develop a dream organ. This dream organ gives them an aspect, basically a superpower in my world, that gives them an advantage over others. These aspects are based on different key parts of reality, like time, space, temperature, fire, and sound. My main character has the power of resonance. It's pretty weak at first, but it has a good snowball effect. This basically allows him to work with any dream energy and copy it so that he can get a better understanding for his opponent. Now, why did I choose this out of all powers? Well, it's pretty simple. Plot armor. My character needs to survive somehow, and if he can just sit in the back line and get a power and then scoop in later on, that's pretty cool to me. And copy abilities are so underrated. Like, I've always seen copy abilities shown in anime or in cartoons, like even Kirby. Kirby is the GOAT, and for some reason nobody cares. Like, you can basically do anything with the copy ability, and they always say the early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. It also goes back to why I'm making a comic in the first place, because I'm a big fan of a lot of different series, but no matter what show I watch, I feel like I'm always nitpicking the powers. And I'm like, yo, that doesn't make sense. Like, their power used to be stronger, but now it's weak. Like, this person has been de-skilled for no reason. Most of my favorite shows have superpowers that make sense, like One Piece, Mob Psycho, Full Metal Alchemist, but then what they don't show is like how these powers work or what's going on like inside the person. They just show power works and that's it. But in my story, I'm going to get down to these powers are inside the nerves and they're releasing one by one. And these people are making the atom switch from their power to these abilities, to these elements. So if I had to compare my comic to anything else, it probably wouldn't be DC or Marvel or One Piece. It would be Dr. Stone, because at the base, I'm just going to get into the science of superpowers and I'm going to break them down. Eventually, I'd love to turn this into like a DC Marvel project, but right now my focus is making rules for these different cool powers so that I can make portals make sense, time travel make sense, like all these different things. I want them to work in my story and not later have to go back and be like, oh, actually time travel isn't real. This power is actually weaker than we thought before, because I think that shit is so dumb. To help keep my comic realistic and organized, I kept everybody to 2 abilities and 1 passive. This goes from a main character too. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, it's going to be like this. So my character's passive ability is just his normal ability, Resonance. This allows him to change his energy from his energy to whatever his opponent's is. Since light works on the same way, like a red light is high energy, blue light is low energy, it's kind of the same thing. He's just changing the color of his aura so that he can interact with his enemy. Learning any of these powers in my world takes a long time, so it's not like he just picks up an ability and suddenly he knows everything that he needs to know. He still takes time to practice everything, and if he doesn't do it right, there's going to be consequences, and you guys are going to see that. But this is where my character's first ability comes in, Link. By using his power to create a link with his enemy, he's able to match frequencies and get a better feeling for their ability. Or a better explanation, he can see auras. So everybody has an aura. The color determines what kind of power they have. How much aura they have determines like their mana pool, and then how it's moving determines like their intention. So if they're moving really fast, they're probably angry or something, and if it's not moving, they're probably calm. The longer he's able to hold this link with his opponents, the more he's able to understand his opponent's ability, and he can eventually feel what his opponent feels. This allows him to speed up the process of learning these abilities, because otherwise it would take years. His second ability is Merge, which allows him to dilute and mix different aspects together. For example, if he has a fire and water ability, he can get to the halfway point of vapor by mixing those two half and half. But if he wants like a fire that isn't as strong, he can mix water into that or get really hot water. I think this helps a lot to differentiate my character from others, because other characters can just copy abilities, but mine can merge them together to create like a halfway point or get something even stronger. And when I'm writing my comic, I have a reason to give everybody an aura and explain these abilities narratively, because instead of just a narrator explaining them, my character is literally finding out in real time how these things work and telling the audience. While it sounds kind of overpowered, it's really not that good considering how many other abilities there are that could end you instantly. So when you can merge a few abilities together over a course of time, you're really going to have to be strategic about what you're doing to be safe in this world. And besides that, there's a lot of things people need to worry about besides these powers in this landscape, because people's dreams can also turn into nightmares. Everybody's ability comes from a dream that somebody else had once, and if they're working towards that person's goal, then they get to keep that ability. If they're working against that goal, then it starts to become a nightmare, because that person tries to gain control over their own body. So someone might end up with a good power but a bad dream, and if that dream doesn't match them, then they might not want to use the power at all, since they don't want to be pushing that agenda. If people continue to use the power without furthering the original dream, then they begin to lose control of themselves until the dream can work for itself. Instead of people using the dream energy to fit their life, the energy begins to feed off them. This basically turns them into a superpowered zombie that just works to fulfill their goal. So people need to be smart about how they're using their abilities and fulfilling their goal, otherwise they're going to turn into one of these nightmares and hurt everybody around them. So if you guys are interested in finding out how my main character navigates a world of superpowers, nightmares, and a world flipped upside down, then make sure you guys stay tuned for more, because this is just the beginning. I've already thought about a lot more characters and superpowers, I just didn't know how to fit them into this video, and I've thought about how the world's going to evolve over time. So hopefully you guys like it. If not, let me know what I could fix. Lucid dreams are one of my favorite things to talk about, and dreams in general I think are just really cool. If you guys have any cool dreams that you remember, then leave them in the comments. But for now, I just recommend you guys try lucid dreaming. I wish I could make a whole video explaining all the different dreams I've had and how to lucid dream, but animations take a while. And for now, I'll just leave you guys with that. If you guys have any recommendations for me, or you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. This is my first ever video on here, and I'll see you guys next time. Remember, don't overthink it, just Josh it.